Okay, this is like the fourth time I've recorded this because I keep forgetting to turn the microphone on and then the technical difficulties. So hopefully this works. I really hope so. And I hope you guys are finding these videos useful. I miss you guys so much. Please come back. Okay, so slope-intercept form. So that's our y equals mx plus b, which is Avi's favorite. Hopefully Avi's watching this. I'll call you out. I don't care. Okay, so the m in our equation is the slope, hence the name slope-intercept form, and that is rise over run. And then the b here is the y-intercept. And that means the point 0b is on the line. So one thing to watch out, a little key, so slope can be positive. I'm going to zoom up on this a little bit. Positive, and that means that the line is going to go up from left to right. It can be negative, meaning it'll go down from left to right. It's also possible for the slope to be 0. That means it's lying flat, not doing anything, being lazy. And it can also be undefined, and that's when our line goes straight up and down. That's an undefined slope. So those are the 4 possibilities. Okay, let's find the slope here. So finding the slope here, we need to do rise over run. Let's look at these 2 points. We're going from here up to here. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3. So our rise is 3. Run is 1, 2, 2. So, and we'd expect that to be positive because it is going up from left to right. So we get 3 over 2. Cool. Let's find the slope here. So they didn't give us points. I'm going to pick 2 good ones. That looks like a good one, and that looks like a good one. Okay, so we need to find rise over run. Okay, if we start from here, I like to go from left to right. If we start from here, right here, our rise is down 1, which is a negative 1, and our run is right 2, which is a positive 2. So we end up with negative 1/2. And we would expect this to be negative because the line is going down, so that's good. But what if we counted from the right one? There's nothing wrong with that. We just have to be really careful with our positives and negatives. So if we start from here and we try to find the rise over run, let's see, hopefully we should get the same thing because it's the same line. If we start from here, so our rise is up 1, so that's a positive 1, but our run is to the left 2, and left 2 means negative 2, so we end up with 1 over negative 2. But negative 1/2, negative 1 over 2 is the same as 1 over negative 2. So that's the same, it really just means negative 1/2. That's our slope. Got him. Cool. Okay, so now we're going to graph these bad boys. Let's graph y equals negative x plus 2. Here's the y-intercept, this number by itself, plus 2. That means if we look at the y-axis, which is up and down, we have to go positive 2, which is up 2. There's going to be a point right there. Now, in order to draw a line, you need to have at least 2 points. So we need to use the slope to find another point. The slope is the number in front of x. So the number in front of x here is kind of weird. There's just a negative, and that really means negative 1, and you can think of it as negative 1 over 1. So our rise over run, our slope, is negative 1 over 1. So start from the point that we already drew, like our y-intercept. Our rise is negative 1. That means we have to go down 1, and then we're going to go to the right 1. So here's our line, negative 1 over 1. Oops, let's see if I can draw a nice line here. Go from here down to here. Oh, pretty good. Nice, there's our line. Okay, here's another one, y equals 3/2 x. So first thing I do is look for the y-intercept. Well, there's no number by itself here. That really means like a plus 0. So that means our y-intercept point is just right. You don't have to go up or down at all. It's just right at the origin. And then our slope is the number in front of x, that's 3 over 2. So we have rise over run is 3 over 2. So from the point that we already have, we have to rise 3, 1, 2, 3, run 2, 1, 2. So here's our line. It's like this. Nice. And we would expect that to go up from left to right because our slope was positive. All right, here's one that's a little bit trickier. Graph 3x plus y equals negative 1. It's tricky because it's not already in y equals mx plus b form. We have to get this y by itself. So this 3x is in the way. We want it to go to the other side of the equal sign. In order to move it, we have to do minus 3x because it's already positive. Okay, so those are gone. On the left side, we just have y equals. So on the right, we have a -1 and a -3x. I can write that in any order as long as I keep the negatives with them. So -3x minus 1. Now it's in y equals mx plus b. You can see the slope is -3 and the y-intercept is -1. So -1 being the y-intercept means we have a dot down 1 on the y-axis. And then our slope is -3, which we can think of as -3 over 1. So rise over run is -3 over 1. So from the dot we already did, we have to go down 3 over 1. Right there. So let's see if I can draw. I missed a little bit, but we'll say it's good enough. Nice. Great. Okay, one more. All right, same thing here. It's not in y equals mx plus b yet, so we have to get the y by itself. Okay, we have to start away from the y. So we have to start by moving this plus 10x. In order to move that, we have to do minus 10x. Minus 10x. Notice that we're moving the number and the x together. We're moving 10 x's to the other side. So on the left, we still have our minus 2y. We haven't done anything to that yet. But positive 10x and minus 10x, we moved all the x to the other side, so that's gone. We just have equals. Now you have 0 minus 10x. Well, that's just negative 10x. I don't need to write the 0. And now we have to divide by this -2 because we have -2y's on that side. So we're going to divide by -2, divide by -2. -2 divided by -2 is a big fat 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So we really just have a 1y, which I can write as just a y, equals, okay, negative divided by negative is positive, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So this is just y equals 5x. Okay, no number by itself, so that means our y-intercept is the origin again. And we have a slope of 5, which we can think of as 5 over 1. So we have to rise 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, run 1. So there's a second point. Just like that. Very steep, but it's good. All right, that is slope-intercept form, crash course.